to pause just a second here.
Rick, we lost that share too.
Is there a problem?
No, we're on the live. We started the live stream and just getting the audio going. And thank you for the sound check. Exactly what I needed. Okay. Welcome everyone to the.
Rick, Flint, you're ready to go, and you're going too.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do the broadcast.
Welcome everyone to the 145th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, November 10th, 2016. And once again, we're here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and he's ready to lead today's instructions and teaching in English. And we'll have various people showing their and discussing as we go on through today's show. Okay, let's get into it here. I think Mr. Keshe is ready to go. Raring to go, as they say. Hello, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I thought you were going to play the 2 promotion videos.
Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up on that, yes. Okay, let me do my screen share thing here.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and speciality to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. Develop and apply new methods of food. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Okay, now I can say welcome everyone to the 145th Knowledge Seekers Workshop at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute for Thursday, November 10th, 2016. And we are ready to go with Mr. Keshe. I believe is really ready to go by now. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Not sure if we have Mr. Keshe here right now. Maybe he dropped off. He did have some trouble with his internet service, so. Anyone else give me some feedback on that? Okay, well, we may have to wait a minute here and wait until it's reconnected.
I see him in the viewers list, Rick.
You had to promote me. Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much. Is it clear?
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, Eric.
Not too bad, yes. It seems to be coming through okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you.
There's a bit of hum in the background, actually, when you're speaking, and maybe if there can be an adjustment on
Is
that.
that better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a charger which creates the noise.
Yeah.
Try to keep an eye on it, that it doesn't do what sometime I have to recharge it. Good morning, good day to you as usual, whenever and wherever and you share knowledge with us. Today we have more clarification about teaching. As we teach and we develop different aspects of the technology, we see there is more and more need for going into in-depth of the knowledge, in understanding more, in trying to develop and bring more knowledge that it can be used by those who work around the application of the foundation technology. We have passed the point, more or less, of what I call surface and basic teaching. We have gone in more depth in understanding more and more in how the technology needs to be understood and applied for different aspects and translate the knowledge from one to another. One of the first things we got to do today is the second week. We are waiting to see if we can find that the last member of the Earth Council has managed to get himself connected to the internet through Africa. He's in Nigeria. That we can hear from him that the Earth Council is completed, the presentation, that we can set up their work to go ahead. Do you see Alex anywhere in the background?
Yeah, I believe he's here, and I spoke with him last night in the plasma group, and he did say that his system is working better now. So, hi, Alex.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me?
Hi, Alex. Good morning, Your Excellency. It's nice to have you. Would you like to give us your vision and introduce yourself, as a lot of you know you, all of us know you, most of us, who you are, where you come from, and what you see as a member of the Earth Council as priority with you, as you are actually a field worker. You do a lot of work, you've done a lot, and enlighten us with your knowledge and your insight, please.
Did you want to do video as well, Alex, or just the audio?
Just
I think it's the audio for now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. My name is Alex Egbar. I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, and then I moved to France when I was about 17 years old. And then I spent a couple of years there before I went to England, and subsequently I met the Keshe Foundation, and then I started working with the foundation. I'm very happy to be a part of the Universal Council, and then I hope I'm going to try to give, I'm going to try to work with the other members of the council to the best of my knowledge, and hopefully we're going to bring all the wish of everyone in the planet, as it is actually peace that we're all looking for, into reality. And then I think I'm going to try to put more effort so that we can start enjoying the technologies that we are developing, like the flight systems and so on, which we still battling with. So, and then I wish all the other members as well to work to the best of their knowledge so that we can all hasten up the process of our mission, like our objectives. That is all. Thank you for making me a member of the council as well, and I want to thank Mr. Keshe and Caroline especially for having faith in me since I've been a member of the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. You are a very hand-on person. Can you tell us what's happening in Nigeria now that you see your work goes on with the World Council?
Here I'm just trying to, I work with the public. I don't work with the government. So I'm trying to. We're not trying to. I'm setting up a little group that we're going to start spreading knowledge through the Pidgin English, which is the most spoken language in the West African colonies. So I think by November, by the second or third week of November, that should be ready. We already made arrangement for the curriculum to start in Pidgin English. This is going to be really grassroots. I'm not sure most of the international audience will be able to understand what to say, but I mean, if anything, we can translate. It's very close to the English language, but it's what the locals can understand. And then I'm trying to organize the state, because Nigeria is a very big plate. It's about 36 states here, so it's just one part of the the southern part of Nigeria that I've been able to deal with, but the other parts of Nigeria of the country is still very quiet there in respect to the Keshe knowledge. So all this I'm trying to I'll be trying to coordinate in the future and see if we can move forward faster.
Thank you very much. What is your wish as a World Earth Council? What is your hope?
My wish, because I've been to several places and then I've seen so much miseries in the world. My main wish is to eliminate poverty all over the world.
Thank you very much. Now the full 6 members of the Earth Council have spoken their piece. In the coming days, we announced the World Council of the Earth Council position, and in that respect, they have direct access. We open a public direct access to the Earth Council. It's theirs for them to set up the connections with the world leaders, and we make every facility for them. Thank you very much, Alex, Your Excellency, and the rest of the members of the Earth Council. There is a couple of announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much for everything you've done and you're doing.
Thank you.
A few announcements we have to announce that will bring a lot of news forward. The Keshe Foundation has secured premises for flight test as part of the governmental organization. We have been given permission to take over the flight building, and with it, in the coming weeks, we established the first international laboratory where governmental scientists and world scientists within the structure of governmental organization can get together to develop and test all aspects of the technology. This is a very big move. This has come out of the joint cooperation between the Keshe Foundation and governmental organization. And this gives us every possibility of flight testing and developing the flight system within the structure of the world nation governments of the present time. And this gives us a huge opportunity to bring the members of the Keshe Foundation motions together, hopefully in the next few days or next couple of weeks. We announce where we need you to be. And while you are here, the first flight center, the building is there. We have to do a lot of work on it to complete it. It's very much like Cape Canaveral. It has some 18-20 meter roof space height testing, and we have all the facilities we think we going to be needing to do it. It's a huge effort, and with it, in the next 6 months or so, we add a laboratory into it, which means everything can be tested both next to each other. This we see as the next step into development of the space technology, which means the students can be hands-on in testing. The students can be hands-on in developing, and this is crucial for us. And hopefully by next Thursday, we'll give you an insight into it. We are in the process. We are waiting for confirmation. We might, within next 7 days or prior to 7 days, announce the next step in the health program of the Keshe Foundation. This is the possibility that we will come and offer, in conjunction with governmental organization and health authorities, direct health, what we call for cancer. We know a large number of people have been waiting to start the program, and now the whole situation has moved or is moving into its next step and complete the process. We do not cure, we are not healers. It's a process of reorganizing the body for this whatever could be on the health side. If we get the permission to go ahead, we'll announce immediately an emergency, what we call rapid workshop, like the way we did with the blueprints or when we do the emergencies, because we know a large number of people are waiting for us to announce where and how. But once this process is completed, it's in conjunction with the government. So it's a joint work between Keshe Foundation and the governmental health organizations, and it becomes a very much official work of the what we call the governmental side of the Keshe Foundation. What we are waiting for is the finalized papers. Whenever we receive it, we go live and we announce that we will accept patients around the world into the, you literally come and receive healthcare through government hospitals. This is how we are setting it up, and hopefully we should be achieving it with 2 nations in the next short time coming. If we see the opportunity to go to the next steps, which is the development of and setting up of a full what we call a space program in conjunction with a number of nations. We'll announce this totally. With at least 3 to 5 nations, we do collaboration in a space flight. The problem is how you put the knowledge together. I've received a lot of warning, a lot of be careful, you are bringing a new technology which no one has knowledge of and can be dangerous in the hand of public. My response to your fear is public is safe. Public have been safe, and public are safe in using the technology for its peaceful application. Our biggest fear are governments, that they use the technology trying to control their subjects or other nations. In achieving the flight system, we need to understand a lot of knowledge which has already been shared, but needs to go more in depth. What does it mean? For example, we started last week on a very soft touch, speaking about the production of deuterium and hydrogen and tritium. Even our own emission groups have tried to replicate, and even them see different difficulties in implementing or applying the technology to be able to achieve such a position. I would like to expand on the knowledge in this way, that we need to understand the totality. I try, I need to be able to share a screen, please. We try to explain more and more in the science of technology. What this means, it means that we better understand what we are doing in totality, in the structure. Last week we spoke about use of what we call atomic hydrogen. But what was interesting is that when we spoke about atomic hydrogen, even people went to the extent of testing it. They're trying. And interesting enough, for example, what we've seen from different groups is that different people apply the technology in what they see. But it's better to understand the totality. What has happened? We said, for example, you can use aluminum foil. And some people use smaller strips, some people have used bigger strips, and they added this into the two cores. And this have caused a meltdown, or heating up, or not seeing interactions. I said before, test with a cold caustic before you endeavor to test in your cores. We see people who don't see immediate result and they get disappointed, it doesn't work. Always remember, for a star to be created, the seed of the star to be created, or the seed of a galaxy to be created, or the seed of a planet to be created, it takes millions of years. Millions and millions of years for the process to complete, for the process even to magnetic gravitational field of the same strength to come together. It's very much the same as when a child is conceived. Millions of sperms float, target, finding a matching egg, one egg, that they can start a life. It's the same in the universe, and it's the same in the reactors you made. Just because you released one atomic hydrogen from the aluminium, you think that now this process has to start. You have to understand that in that process you have to find a matching plasmas. You have to allow the system to gather strength to process the fields across the core. You plug in and that's it immediately. If it's not, there is something wrong. When you started the use of anything, any of the hydrogen systems, any of the gaseous systems which we used in the past, any of the GANS units, now with the use of liquid plasma, you need time to start to develop a plasma condition for flight. At least the initial step takes time. Unless you become expert, it's just like baking a cake. You put the oven, you put everything, the right thing, the right measures, voila, you get the same cake all the time. Humanity is not at that stage yet. We have not perfected the art of understanding the totality of the plasma. This is the problem. Excuse me 1 second. Until we develop such a measurement, we have to test. We have to try. Some of you who put a small strip of aluminum and you put a caustic and you waited for it, it might happen. It takes time. By releasing more and more hydrogen atoms from any interaction, you increase the possibility of two matching hydrogen. Hydrogen release, let's say by aluminum foil, the way we discussed last week, is exactly like the snowflake. It's literally impossible to find two snowflakes which are exactly the same. Just because there are snowflakes doesn't mean they're all the same. Just because there's a hydrogen released by aluminum doesn't mean that's the matching hydrogen. You need to trim it. You need to, literally like a flower, allow it to manifest its beauty, its strength, find its match, and then gradually allow it to come into operation. With one, then you set the standard for the others, or with two, you gradually dominate the strength, shape of the plasma, and you take control. I spoke with one of the teams, and what they did, they put a full, let's say, 5 centimeter or 10 centimeter aluminum foil and put it in a caustic. The reaction was so high that it literally melts the core. They open up. Of course it does. Go back to the understanding, the process of understanding. You need to release one, as much as possible, a small amount of hydrogen that they can become an interaction of the fields and not to become part of the whole structure. When you go to produce hydrogen and then use it, even in a condition of deuterium or tritium, you have to allow the process of time. Don't put a full flat foil into hydrogen. The same aluminum foil, crush it, make it to a smallest ball, tightest ball as possible, not flat, and then put it in the core. That the interaction of the caustic is very slow release, that you can harvest the power of the hydrogen. You reduce the surface and you create a compactness. And then you have to understand your condition of the creation of the hydrogen has to be very well controlled. Both in all the cores, in one core or the other. One can reach, but the other one might be delayed. You need time. You need to allow the plasmas to interact. Because once you put the aluminum foils in this one, and you created your hydrogen, now the problem you have, it goes back to the beginning. Literally, you have to find a connection between the plasma inside here and the plasma inside here, outside the boundary in a bigger core. Till you don't find the interaction between these two, you don't get gravitational fields. It was so hard to find the first atomic hydrogen in this one to match each other to start the process. Now you have to find one which matches with both. The process, you have different conditions. You have different ways of doing it. You can do it to control, to bring everything in line, or you can leave it by what I call by chance. I've explained this many times before in other teaching. Now I repeat it again, maybe it starts making sense. If you remember, I told you in teachings a long time ago, that get yourself a mixer. And when you have a GANs, shake it, whip it. The whipping brings this process much closer. Now you understand why we taught this before in the teaching. Now to you is nothing, but inside, if you can literally use a mixing which you use to mix vegetables, something like that, you produce and put inside. You homogenize the deuterium, tritium, or hydrogens which are inside. And if you do the same by putting wings on this side of the core, you do the same. Now go back to repetition of the same process. You cannot do it without it, because it's like an ignition motor, it's like a starter motor. This, what I call the fastest speeding machine you put in there, or the highest speed rotation of the inner core with the wings on it, it brings most of the fields together which are of the same, and your process starts. If you look back at every core which we have made, even the gaseous cores, this mixing system has been used. Go back to the energy system we built in Italy 3 years ago. The inner core had flanges on it. The bigger core has mixing flanges on it, deliberately made with the nuts. And these are especially done to create this condition. When you don't bring such a higher speed mixing of the hydrogen atoms or molecules in a gaseous state of plasma that the same strength comes together, it becomes impossible for the system to operate. It takes a long time. In a way, with the highest speed, we are talking very high speed, 5,000, 7,000 high revolution speed mixing, you bring up most of the energetic plasmas ready to operate and interact into one as a plasma, one structure. Those who understand this and they do it, you'll find they get response. You can do it two ways. You can put a high mixer in it, or put a very high AC voltage across the cores. This is the advantage of using AC in conjunction with the plasma. You literally put electric shock on the AC, which is exactly like whipping. This will give you what you want. Any of you understand this, you should be able to start flying. You can test your flight system. You can start understanding of the whole operation of 0 point energy. 0 point energy means concentrating the whole energy into the center. And then as you're rotating with what you have as gaseous structure in the second core, what you will get, it's very easy operation of the fields across, and very easily the totality of the balance of the fields here with the planetary balance and the flight system. Scientific organizations are testing it, and we hear some have seen some results, but they cannot extend it. The process is to not to look at the matter state and what you can see physically, but in understanding what the fields are doing in the background as a field interaction. And then you set your system up. One of the first things you will feel is fields interaction. This is the minute you feel a field interaction means you are entering in the flight zone. It means all you need to do is to compact these fields somewhere that it gives you physicality of the closure of the plasma to become independent. And secondly, now as this is getting developed, the interaction between the system and what I call Earth gravitational magnetic field pushes the system to find its position. You need to introduce this high speed rotation in the plasma to be able to ignite the interaction of the plasmas into fields. In some cases, if you are good at it, once you start a high rotation of the fields in the center, this creates the rotation of the field outside. You don't need to rotate the body. Flat, smooth surfaces are useless because the gases create their own field resistance interaction. One of the ways which you can change the position is that you can literally go and extract energy. Somehow, okay. What does this mean? As I said, we keep you from now on very much in touch and in balance with the work of the Keshe Foundation Innovations. So innovation people in the background are listening, and they know some of them are working on this condition. What you need to do, what you got to do, you can use the system both for flight and energy. You put, for example, the aluminum foil bundle here, and you put the aluminum foil bundle here. You can leave the center core with CH3 or whatever you might want. The same with here. Or you can do with what I call alkaline and control this one with acidic. Or you put acidic here and you put alkaline there. But the production of the fields in between the two gives you the interaction you're looking for. So what we see is very simple, is the interaction of the field which allows you to create the condition of the field interaction, and in the process of doing so, you start creation and the change of the process to create new and complete structures. What this means is that from now on, you decide on the shape and the strength. From now on, you decide on how the fields will show themselves. Any of you who understands this should be able to create a system that it can create magnetic positioning. As you know, we call magnetic positioning as the cornerstone of the whole work of the space travel. What does this mean? It means the plasma inside the inner circle, the inner core, the Caroline core plasma, has to create enough field that internally itself creates magnetic positioning in respect to the what I call the solid core or the second core, and in that position allows the lift of the core up in the center core to the middle. So what happens is that what you're going to get is, I have a problem with my pen. It's jumping everywhere. What it means, when you load, you start your first load, you put your hydrogen production system inside. They'll all be sitting on top of each other, the three cores. By adding and creating the hydrogen plasma in the outer core, this core will come and centralize itself first. Then this core will come and centralize itself, and then the whole three start moving. So what you will get is a three-core center. And the interaction of the fields in these three will give you the layering. And then the interaction between these three and the gravitational field forces allows the interaction of the flight system. If you look, by creating a three-core layer, you've done the same thing as creating a star formation and creation of what we call, what you need to create the skin of the man. It's just in another form. When you become expert at it, you don't really need these two cores, because you manage to create 3 layers of what I call plasma of different strength in the center that gives you the same effect. How do you do this? How do you create 3 different type of plasma of hydrogen in the center? Very easy. Is as easy as drinking a glass of water. Go back to what I said a few minutes ago. Just because you put aluminum in does not mean you created all the same hydrogen. The hydrogen which is connected to CH3 is a different type of hydrogen which is connected and used in amino acid. So what you need to do is literally, in the choice, the way you chose aluminum, now choose 3 different processes that they give you 3 different type of hydrogen. In one core, you create the 3 layers. But this needs maturity of the knowledge. Instead of running 3 cores, you can do with 1 core. I'll give you an example. Test your strength, test your knowledge, test your understanding. Go in the kitchen, get the highest bit mixer. The medium here is CH3. We chose. Choose water, distilled water, totally distilled water. Put it in a container. Add the water to it. Now, you know I've told you this before. Put the chili in it. Fresh chili. And put the mixer in. Very high speed. You will be smelling chili in the whole house if you go for 5 minutes. People upstairs will start crying. Now you need the second. Add garlic into it. Keep on wiping. The house will stink of garlic and the chili. Now go further. Let's say, get yourself a ginger and put it into the mixer. If you would have confined it, the whole thing, the system will fly. Odor is crystal structure of a gas. And when you have a crystal structure and you can control it, it's a gas condition in nano state. The only thing you've done here, you have confined it. There is no escape, so it has to create, and you get your 3 layers. If you can create 3 different speeds of rotation in this box, you will get what you want. But unfortunately, in the space, we don't have a mixer, so we don't get cylindrical objects. All of you are so close into the space flight system that it amazes me, none of you dares to test. If you have a problem with a hydrogen, understand the totality molecular atomic structure in a very simple way. I was explaining this in a teaching this week, and maybe you understand. What about if I can make a hydrogen gas, and oxygen gas, and a nitrogen gas? Would they work? Yes, they will. Because go back into atomic nuclear structure and understanding. A hydrogen is a proton. If I can change color. A neutron. An electron. Now, let's go to the extreme, go directly to oxygen. Oxygen has a proton. I don't know why this thing does this. And then it has a neutron. And then it has an electron. This is hydrogen. This is an oxygen. You say, but oxygen has so many. Yes, we come. Here, now, you have a second, what I call proton. You have the second neutron. You have the second electron. Then you have the third proton. Then you have the third neutron. Then you have the third electron. And build it up all the way to what you call 8 of each. But notice one thing. Not all these neutrons and protons and electrons are the same in the strength. The initial one, yes. So all the elements have a common denominator, hydrogen base in the center. Anything above hydrogen has that first and then addition to. So when you use gas of hydrogen, then you use a gas of oxygen, then you use a gas of nitrogen, they all have that, if I call common denominator 1 in all of them. And this is where you bind the gases as a gas together. Don't forget, if you have nano-coated and you put CH3, for example, as a base gas, you're already working in the totality of the plasma condition. So if you understood, you can use any gas to be able to achieve much more rapid condition. You have already achieved this when you use the CO2 and when you use the copper oxide as a gas in the liquid and you put a high pressure on it or rotation and you saw the vacuum. Now you can go into the gaseous level, produce the gases that they allow the common denominator to come as a gas matter of state to be in part of it, and you will achieve. I explained this to one of our innovation groups. If you get your 3 circles, 3 balls, or you get this gas combination right, you can roll this ball on the floor. And you know what you're going to see? Very interesting thing. And this is the ball you're rolling in that direction. You're going to see this. Because the interaction of the 3 layers of gas continuously have to interact with themselves and in balance to the gravitational magnetic field, both dynamic, what we call inertia, and plasmatic gravitational magnetic field will create a condition of the positioning. For the first time, you will see the process of the motion of the electron in respect to proton or the nucleus, where now the electron is the ball you're rolling. A matter state ball, if you roll it correct and you don't kick it up, will roll flat. A plasmatic ball will not have, because continuously in 3 dimensions it has to find its position. And this is why we saw with people who tested the first ball's condition, they lost the balls and they can't find it. That ball has flown somewhere to find its position. Would it hit a satellite? We don't know. Has it ended up in planet Zeus? We don't know, because we don't know what they mixed in there when they did the mixture. Is it embedded in the body of the man and it'll never show itself? Quite possible. Is it embedded in a structure somewhere? Probably. Is it connected through the gas which made by man through his amino acid to somewhere where the man has a control and he wants to find it, and he will find it because it comes to the emotion of attraction. This is the reality about the space technology in its true form, in understanding the totality. You can fly with the plasma of an electron if you understand how to harvest the energy within it, that it creates the needed gravitational magnetic field in respect to its environment. Here, the ball finds its position in respect to the Earth gravitational magnetic field. Here, as an electron, it finds its position in respect to the proton. Any of you in your kitchen can create, you have a mixer, test it, extend it, close most of these mixtures you buy nowadays. When I stand in front of it many times, I said, my God, these guys go and spend a lot of money. The machine is in their hand. Have you seen it? It's got a plate. The reason when you put the ginger, the herb, whatever inside, and you achieve the smell that you can smell it, and you can know, and you know you have managed to achieve the condition of gas state, is because the ginger, the garlic, the chili, whatever, is a vegetable. It has already have the amino acid of the four gases. It's a very precise positioning. All you need to do is to capsulate it. $6 system will give you a flight system. If you can make the mixture in a spherical ball, you will find you don't need to hold the mixer. It will find its own position in respect to the table. But you have to know what you're doing. This is how the amino acid in the body of the man finds its position in respect to the other cells within the structure. The cell of your kidney does not appear in your toe. Now you understand. Any man, any one of you who understands this, you are in the position of the flight system. It's you who have to understand the totality of the knowledge. And this is what we explain. We go more and more in depth to simplify the knowledge. Because the more we understand the knowledge, the much more sweeter the knowledge becomes, and easier for us to be able as one entity. This is why We choose, and we have chosen this structure. Many times I work with these mixers and I say to myself, when would the man mature to see they have everything in their hand? The beauty with the knowledge on this planet is man has created simpler versions to achieve the space technology, to become a man of deep space, but he cannot see how to use the tool to get there. These simplified machines which man has created, and it's taken him centuries, thousands of years to achieve it, now makes the development of the spaceship technology much, much easier. But you are not aware of what you have in your hand. You always look for the hardest thing to achieve the easiest, actually the minimum result. With the knowledge of man, man has the beauty of being able to not only use the state of the plasma, but use the state of the matter too, and use one in the benefit of the other. One of the problems with when you use these mixers is that they have explained the process in a matter state. And as the people never understood the effect of the vacuum it creates, the effect of the dynamic positioning of the GANS state of the molecules of the vegetation, for example, you use, can give you the same condition as what is needed and is operating within the center of the planet, within the center of the star, within the center of the galaxy and the universe. Man has created with the tools he has a shortcut into a deep space travel. But he's so busy with the materialist condition that he cannot see how to use it. And it's for us to enlighten you. You've all been buying these motors to do this and that. If you get it right, if you can control it, if you can nano coat it for you to be happy with, your mixer can be used to create a homogeneous plasma gases that gives you what you need. But there are steps you have to take. You can't just go and buy a mixer and then say it doesn't work. Understand the full process. I've explained this many times before and nobody understood. Go back on the teachings of past 3 months. I've referred again and again into this mixer. Put the chili in the water and see what you smell. You homogenize the field. And why does it spread around the house? Because you need one cell to become in its crystal structure, and it takes the size of the whole house. All you need to do is to add more into the plasma, that the crystal structure has more fields to expand into. But if you confine it in the container, now you can use it. Because don't forget, they all at the end have the same common denominator. I'll give you another tip. You have in your structure in the kitchen a CH bond, synthetic oils or sugar. You can use for nanocoating condition to contain the material. So now you understand. Unless you want me to come and feed you and make it for you and you say, oh, it was here, we didn't see. All of you can start the first test, the condition. You have to understand what you're doing of creating the first space reactors, and you see the flights. You feel it. When you mix it and you get to the right point, you feel a tinkling feeling in your stomach first. You feel it in your back shoulders. You feel it, if it's strong enough, in your emotion, and then you feel it with your soul. Because the higher speed and continuous rotation you do, the more you bring more of the same in the center. There is a piece of information which I would like to share, and I kept it away from you, but I've been to it many times, but you don't see it. What I would like to explain, that you understand very much so, is this. You have magnetical field and you have gravitational field. In all my teachings I always say, here, as more of the magnetical strips off, the more of a stronger gravitational field appears. So what I like to do is to open this field for you to look in. If I open this, you will see something which you have explained but you ignored. In this, you have this. In the outside, you have magnetical. Inside the same field, there is a gravitational pull. The more you give off is magnetical, the stronger gravitational you manifest, you peel off. Now if you understand this, look at the cores. Look at the mixture of the herbs. The more you let to move out, the stronger fields you bring back in. And as they do, you create a dynamic rotation in both ways, and your cup will fly. A magnetical field is not just a magnetical field, but is stronger in its giving, but it still has a central taking. A field, a plasmatic field, is a ray of light. The structure of a light, read book number 2. The light is a field, is the interaction of the magnetic field which you don't see. If a man develops systems that can see all the interactions, you will see the light coming from the interaction of the fields. This is where you go into a deeper knowledge of the universe, which is you can fly with the plasmatic fields of a light. As you understand, the light itself has a gravitational and a magnetical property. This is what I explained in teaching recently. Why in some cases it has confused the world of science, that why does it behave sometimes as a particle and sometimes as a photon? Light behaves as a particle when it is in a plasmatic condition of the motion of a higher order. When its interaction with the plasma of the environment gets what I call peeled off, it creates a weaker gravitational magnetic field plasma, which in respect to the plasma of what I call, let's say, proton speed, which creates the light, it creates a weaker plasma, which to man, as not understanding that even a photon itself is a disturbed, unbalanced fields of the plasma gravitational magnetic field, we see if we absorb this or we observe this, we call it a photon. If we absorb and observe the total plasma itself, we see the behavior of a particle. That is why where the confusion comes. The photon comes from the interaction of the fields of the plasma itself with the environment at the lower strength, and the plasma of the totality of the interaction behaves as a particle. So one is the father and the other one is the child. And the world of science has a problem to understand this. Any ray anywhere in the universe is not singularity. As it's moving to somewhere, it has to find a position in respect to something and depart from another position which is not within it. And when we say within it, it means within the structure of its gravitational magnetic field strength spectrum. So if you understood these points, which we go in more depth to become much sweeter, physics is fun. If you understand the simplicity of the knowledge. If you make it complicated and more complicated to show you're a wise man, you're a fool man. Because you have fooled yourself to think you're wise. Because you have not understood the wisdom of the sweetness of the science of the creation. Understand the totality of interaction of any field. A ray as singularity does not exist. It's impossible. In its manifestation of the strength in respect to the destination, yes. We come to another point. Now I hope some of you can fly. And I hope some of you can understand. I hope in a short time coming, many of you will take into space. But be wise. Carry the purity of the soul. Understand, man is not beyond other or behind others. Man has created a culture of itself with its knowledge, and it's beautiful. And it's made production of the systems of universe much, much easier. But because you don't understand, you haven't gone into depth of the knowledge of the interaction of the plasma, the true science of the universe, everything else looks irrelevant or not applicable. Where you have all the tools. Every tool to go into space is in the hand of the man. You have managed to extract matter in different shape of metals. You have managed to understand the interaction of the matters can create separation of the molecule into atomic, like caustic, like nanocoating. You have managed to create the knowledge now that you can separate the single atom from a structure of molecules. Now you have reached the singularity of the plasma. It's taken man millions of years to understand it. But in fact, the first pot you used to cook, you already became nanomaterial producers thousands of years ago. The important point is to understand the separation and to understand the interaction. Then, when you understood what we just explained a few seconds ago, in respect to interaction of different fields, which will give you the interaction or manifestation of your spaceship, you understand that every layer has two operations. One of its own and one of the interaction with the others within its vicinity. So if I change the environment here, to keep this, I have to understand the interaction of number two. And I have to understand if changes, what happens to one. So when you produce a different environmental condition of the plasma, you have to watch the operation of what's happening. Man has been aware of this, but for his own benefit of ignorance, have denied the knowledge to himself. I open this, have a look, what you will see. The green, the blue, and the black. Here I create a different environmental condition, and here I create a different environmental condition. The skin of a man, the 3 layers of the plasma. As the environment inside the flesh of the man, due to different strength changes, the middle layer changes, the outer layer changes, and you get different textures. What happens in its environment, as this changes, so does the outer, the color of the skin of the man. You live in Africa, different condition gives you the beautiful black. As you move into lesser denser, but as you need to absorb more, the change of the environment changes the field here, that the color of the man changes to white. So the environmental plasmatic condition dictates the second layer's condition, that the outer layer shows how much field it needs to absorb or radiate. So the color of the man is middle skin deep, because the inner and the rest of the flesh stays the same. Those are who are racist have not understood the simplicity of the creation. It's the environment, and change of environment should have brought maturity to man, not the foolishness of racism. Doesn't matter where we take the man, these two layers will change. Turn the process upside down, inside out. Look at the plants. This is what I was explaining in the teaching yesterday. You see, to go from black, where the man was initially created, one of the races of the man, to become blonde and white, because of the change of the environment in interaction with the middle layer, has taken millions of years, thousands of years, as to absorb more from the plasma of the universal energy. They have to change the openness of the atomic molecular structure that they can absorb more. In fact, they absorb as much as very little. It's taken thousands of to be able to live. But if man wants to look at the same thing, the simplicity is the shame on the face of those who are colorblind to the color of themselves. You imagine what happened to the man, how the process is, how the change of the environment brings the changes to the skin of the man. My friends, you don't need to look far. The ones who are cleverer than a man do it once or twice a year, but the man has been blind to it. The vertical people have used this, what man has used for millions of years, to evolve. As the summer changes into autumn and the environment changes, the green changes into orange and yellow. So the yellow skin of the man, the cream skin of the man, is the stupidity of man that doesn't understand. The vertical animals have already achieved it. They use it to change and protect themselves. If you want to see the process of the change and evolution of the color of the skin of the man, go into reverse and look every year into a plant. A leaf which drops every day is the condition of the change of the environment, which allows the outer layer to change its reaction into respect to its environment, and in that process, the interaction with the inner side allows the reduction, absorption of the energy from the environment. A leaf goes yellow, a leaf goes cream, then it goes black. How foolish man has been to use the color of the skin as a point of its superiority. It is important for man, as I always said, if you don't see the knowledge because the atom is too small, Look at the structure of the stars and solar system. If you want to see the process of the evolution of the change of the color of the man, look at the vertical people and the way they change. They become so clever that by the slight change of the atmospheric condition, they change the color so rapidly within 2 days. It's taken a man millions of years, and because he never understood it, has used it to claim himself as superiority. Shame on man. As I said, the vertical people are much cleverer than man, because they have chosen, instead of chasing the food, they stand and absorb the energy of the universe. And as chasers, we think we are clever. Now you understand how a reactor, skin of the man, life of a plant, they're all the same. It's the condition of the environment which allows you to fly, change your color, or shed your leaf. This is the maturity of the science, and if you understand this, you become colorblind, race blind. As every race in the universe is part of the same structure as you have been created. Till we don't achieve that, we have the miseries we see in some nations, where the actual narrow-mindedness of the man gives him the same as what he calls himself, the king of the animals. Now he thinks he's the king of the man because of the color. More narrow-minded, more stupid. The science of the universe is the same. It's for the man to understand the connection. The same goes with the color of the fluid, to keep this condition in the inner part of the body of the man, for you to be red, and for the man from planet Zeus to have a brown color. In fact, the blood of the man is not red till it's exposed to the air that it shows its color. Any questions? You might hear some buzzing noise because I have to connect, otherwise we get cut off.
It's been very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Okay, so if any viewers have a question, you can put your hand up and I can promote you into a panelist, and you would be able to speak then. Otherwise, if there's anyone who's a panelist who has a question on that topic, looking on the live stream, I don't see a question there at this point. There's a question, of course, from Lars, who says free energy for all will change the whole world. So why, Mr. Keshe, will you not tell us how it goes with the solid power generator? The solid power generator, I guess he means the newer power generator.
Oh, you mean the solid state? It's getting developed. We said we are changing it to a solid state. We're producing large amount of energy.
Now,
It's getting tested by 2-3 different groups.
is that related to what we see on the diagram now, or is that a totally different type?
No, that is totally
reactor?
different.
Okay.
No, the solid state, actually, one aspect of the producing energy through what we call plasma, it's very, very simple. I was teaching this to the what I call innovation groups, two, 3 groups in past few days. If you look at this, you can create energy out of this. You can extract huge amount of energy out of this. If you look at the position, is that if you create a plasma here, and you have created plasma here, if you can understand that this plasma is rotating in the same direction or opposite direction to this, if you make a probe inside this, you can extract huge amount of energy from interaction of 2 very strong plasmas. But this needs a lot of understanding. You have to know how to probe it. This can become, but this is again, it's a plasmatic generator. You use this in the space. It's very much, if it's hard for you to understand, it's very simple. You had this what you call pain pens, you call it. If you manage to probe a pen, the way the pen was giving energy into the body of the man, if you design your pen central core different way, you can extract a lot of energy from the middle core. Not from the Caroline core, from the middle core. As the energy between these two. What you can do, you can even fill this totally with one type of liquid. Compared to the difference between these two, you start getting light. And you can tap into that energy.
Mr. Keshe?
Pardon?
No, I was just trying to add something. Instead of probing this the core, why not be the receiver?
Good morning.
Thank you.
If you hold the ball in your hand, this is your hand, you become the receiver. Whatever you need feeds you to the totality. This is what you do when you hold a pen in your hand. When you hold these balls in your hand, you're so passive. If you hold it, you feel that you receive what you need, but don't forget these systems are mono-energetic. You only feed one spectrum. If you can make it a dynamic, it feeds you everything you need. But don't forget which hand you put it in and which side of the brain you want to feed. When you're dealing, when you give a pen to a person, always let them to put whole hand, not just in one hand. There is a myth that they say you receive with the left and you give with the right. If you understood what I explained, that even the magnetical has gravitational inside it, you need to beat both sides of the brain of the man. Hold the pen in both hands. What we call plasmatic reactors we are testing now. It's in development. The solid state, what we call generators, is getting finished, hopefully, by 1-2 groups. And then with it will come the wireless transmission. We cannot separate the two, it's impossibility. In one of the innovation groups a few weeks ago, They're producing so much energy, they're dumping it in the salt water, and so this cannot be done. So the problem is not producing the energy, the problem is bringing the energy to a manageable, usable energy. 100 kilowatt, 50 kilowatt is not a problem, but in the house burns everything down. It has to be brought out to manageable energy. We now are in the process with governments to produce 100 or 1 megawatt systems. It's much easier to produce a high power with the plasma than low power. In the coming weeks, we show this. You will see it. We have to bring it to a safe position that is applicable and can be used. It should be on the next week or two, then you see it. If it needs to be used for kilowatts, 100 plus or whatever, 50 kilowatts is very easy to do. But it cannot be managed. We're trying to manage it to bring it down, and 2 groups are working on it. But plasma generators, as you see that the magnet generators, plasma generators, the way I've shown you, some of you can produce yourself and show it. You went and bought the motors. If you connect, for example, your mixer to a battery operated instead of the grid, you can feed it back to run all the time, or feed it to the plasma of itself. In time, you'll see how it will be done. Any other question? We don't have hesitation. We don't hesitate. If we can't do and we get it wrong, we've been open to say. When we develop, we say. When we see a breakthrough, every time we do a small change in any production, it costs huge amount of money, and it takes a lot of time to get it licensed. And so this way, what we are doing, we are using the structure we have. Now we can be part of it without the alteration, that we can use the same licenses and the same certificate. And this is what it's going to be. You will see the operation of it and work of it. It's part of the whole process, which is already available. We are not going outside the parameters. It's just extending the knowledge. You got to realize something. I do not go and make a system just to deliver. I teach that this can be done, that is understood and can be copied by the people. Any other question? When I showed the Coca-Cola bottle, everybody told me it's a crook and everything else. Now you all do it, there is no crook. When I show a flying system, it's something. This is what, literally what I call our dearest friend Tesla suffered from. Scientists, because they don't serve the church, are the curse of humanity. But they serve the knowledge of the man, that without it the church doesn't exist. That's not as physical church, but the path of the belief of the man. This way, I don't make one Tesla. I make Tesla out of human race. And it's beautiful to see it how it's happening. Carry on.
Well, we do have a question from Walter, who mentions, because of the high hydrogen compound in caffeine, can you use caffeine instead of chili?
Why not? Who says we are wrong? You're right. But it's in the beauty. Let me explain to you. Those of you who look at the vegetation, you look at the fruit, you look at the herbs, you look at these things, you are 1,000 times more advanced than those who are using the aluminum foil, because it's already in the gas state and it's already connected to amino acid. You can use it to control it much easier. The ones who choose the path of the matter, like aluminum and whatever, then they have a problem with the control later on, because then they have to find a common denominator. when you use the amino acid based entities like vegetation, seeds, trees, oil of a fish or whatever, you already step ahead of those who use the matter state, because now you're already in the Gans state, the conversion of the strength which the body of the man can interact with. Why not? None of us is wrong. This is the beauty of this knowledge. None of us is wrong. It's us who have to understand how to use it. And nobody is more clever than the other, because it can twist the wire slightly this way. Now I'm the creator, or I can produce a gas of something else. Now I taught everything to Keshe. Now I am the teacher. When we teach the full spectrum, from energy to matter to space travel, and as I said, the meager man is happy with the color of the skin. Would you like a cup of tea? It's very nice. Any other question?
Very good, Mr. Keshe.
Let me explain something. Vince, would you like to come in and explain about the addition to the broadcasting which you have brought in through Facebook, please? Hello, Vince.
Yeah, just have lots of unmuting to do.
Okay.
Yes, we have started broadcasting, and this is our first time broadcasting on Facebook Live. So I'd like to welcome everybody that's watching there. And of course, the video will be available after on our Facebook page. And so we will be continuing to start broadcasting on Facebook Live as well as YouTube and live stream, like we always do, to make sure that we can reach the most possible people.
Would you like to tell us where to look for?
You can see it directly under our Facebook page, facebook.com, Keshe Foundation. You can do a search for us, and our page is also on, I think our homepage is a link to our Facebook page as well, so that you can go directly there. I'm sure people can find us on Facebook, and it's the first thing that they see when they come on. The live comes up right away, so nothing they have to search for that way.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Hello, this is Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Is it okay to go back to just a thought that came up about the blender and the
I can
releasing-
imagine what you'll be doing very soon, but we'll wait and see.
Well, one thought was kind of coming together, combining with some of the information from how the mouth works and the enzymes and things like that. So with the blender and the garlic or whatever other natural vegetable material in there, would it be useful to just kind of spit in there, because the enzymes in the mouth, I'm recalling you said something about them helping to obviously release the CH bond, and then you have the atomic hydrogen in there, and then somehow collect that in like a nano-coated ball with a tube going into or to suck it out into it from the blender once it's accelerated. And
Let me go back into something which makes life easier for some of you. This is what we were teaching, very small short teaching to the agriculture group. As I said, you need different strength of hydrogen or a gas. If you look at the color of the leaves of or any green, not two green are of the same color, because they use different kind of hydrogen strength. So you can even use different leaves of the green to create the gas, and that will help you a lot in producing near enough homogeneous gas material, but in different strength and layers.
Oh, I was thinking of using like the leaf from the top of the tallest tree, and then using, you know, the root from the lowest root, and that would give me a range of field
Why
strength.
not? You are never wrong. Nobody is wrong. Why not? We haven't got a professor that we have to follow. We are all professors, we all follow. Why not? Yesterday we were talking about everybody's looking for a definite source of food. And that is that we get all the nourishments we need from it. And we get everything we need. I was explaining in a very simple way. Maybe a lot of you will understand, because in the coming time you might come to use it. You have to understand the body of the man. What rejects is a combination of what he has used and he doesn't need, but it's the balance of the material which it possesses. They might be not of the right strength, but they are of the strength of the material which is available and needed by the body. In time, as we hear, there is a lot of call, not just what we called the upcoming disasters we had for millions of years, but as the strength of the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the Earth is getting more and more weaker in respect to the what I call the sun, so it's getting more and more confined, and in gravitational wise, stronger, and magnetic wise, weaker. We see rapid motions within the structure, and we see more and more what we call interaction of the solar flares magnetic gravitational field with the planet Earth, which injects energy into the planet. This is inevitable. We are in the process of reversal rotation, if not in times in hundreds of thousands of years, but to go through that process. And what we see now, the separation of the continents. In time of disaster, how do you feed yourself that you have everything? A man carries everything with himself if he understands the knowledge. You got access to ash, and you can make caustic. You got access to any water. You can boil it, make a caustic of it. All the nourishment which you need, because don't forget, your body is a processing system. That's why we don't heal and we don't cure. We process. It means Eskimo eats only one food, but in that food he receives the calcium, the magnesium, every other element which he needs for the body, because the glands built inside the body of the man converts material. So when it's converted to what the body needs, the extra continuously is rejected through urine. If you go back, understand how you transfer the energy of a fruit or whatever into the CO2 gas. You don't need to mix the urine. If you put, because they're all in amino acid strength, and you can transfer the total field strength of urine into the caustic, and when you wash it, the water of that CO2 is food for life, for everything you need. This is a part of survival through plasma technology when there is crisis with a food chain. There is something very important, and all of you should have understood with the papers which were submitted in Ghana conference, and before that by the Ghanaian scientists, Benjamin and the Atomic Commission and the rest. If you understood the use of copper oxide or the use of the heavier element, as a gas. When you take water from one of the most dirtiest waters, we don't talk about fully contaminated, just the waters from the rivers or whatever, even if they contain radiation, when you mix it with a gas you produced, especially copper oxide and above, you balance the energy of the viruses and the bacteria, and the water is clean enough to drink. Then, if you have managed to make the gas of the amino acid of the components of the body of the man, adding that plasmatic gas in a pen to the water, it gives you the energy you need to survive. We have to make new survival kits that is practical in what man is about to go through. We've been through it. It would not touch any of us, but in a way it'll touch all of us one way or another. The pending separation of the continents is something temporary. In next 100 years, 200 years will create a lot of commotions, vibration will kill a lot of people through whatever process of the earthquakes and whatever. But then there is another one. It's hurricanes, it's tornadoes, it's tsunamis. Man on this planet has done nothing but trying to survive its own creator, which is the planet itself. When the creator is not kind to what is created, he always have the fear of his own creation. And we pass that fear into our children and into our environment. If we understand we can tame this and we can use it, you will understand in time of disaster, in time of, we've seen many world leaders, Indian, one of the most, what I call famous people who's been well known for it. Gandhi used to do it. And a lot of world leaders do, a lot of famous people, you think they're, whatever to you are important, do drink their own fresh urine, because whatever body has rejected, they want to absorb. You don't need to do that. But because that is already rejected, body won't accept it. Some of it might. But when you convert it into the gas, not in the matter state of it, body takes what it needs from it. And the beauty of it is, because now that you've created in the gas with the CO2, the material gets energized from the plasmatic condition of the environment, that when you drink that water, it's fresh, it's energized. The body does this, what you call B12, cesium, or what you call, which goes through the division of the body of the man, that we reject because of its weakness and strength in absorbing energy from large intestine and from the environment. When it comes and touch the body, it gets energized from man. It has been eating it for thousands of years back itself. The same thing happens in the gas plasma condition. When these people drink their urine, they don't add much to it because it's in the state of the matter. When you add it into the state of the gas again, at the strength, it absorbs the energy. When you drink it, drink the water, what we call liquid plasma of it, you receive a new cycle, energized level of it, and it becomes your food. So those of you who've been looking to what we're going to do in time of disasters, short-term solution is to create a gas, to create a plasmatic liquid of the urine without adding the urine to it, because if you remember how you made the orange, how you made the CO2, this is your food. It's a natural food, uncontaminated and pure, and if you add it to the water, you will see how it's purified water. You can pick up water more or less from anywhere, and within a certain percentage of guarantee, If you use a copper oxide, it's decontaminated from germs and bacteria, most of them. It's a time lapse of some 20 minutes, 30 minutes in some cases, and then you have a pure water to drink. Then, if you use the same process to what you produce the gas water, to add the energy to that gas as a separate package, then drink the plasma, you have the food, clean water and food. This is a simple way to survive in time of disaster. You can use it for your wounds, you can use it for disinfection from any germs, and you can use it for a lot of other applications. You want to create at least habitable condition till the what we call the support is there to change the condition. Survival kits in the world of plasma has to come from the inner structure of the man itself, not from the physicality of the mathematical universe. Any other question? I've been talking to myself.
Well, Fried mentions in the live stream, what a blessing for Africa, the most polluted Niger Delta to clean up. Leon asks...
Niger is dead, it's polluted, you want to see the rest of the Europe. I prefer to live in Africa. In Europe, you can't even clean up the contaminations which are there so easy. If what we receive from European organizations in the contamination of the waters of Europe, I've seen this one 15, 20 years ago in Russia. African contaminations can be cleaned up easy. European contamination is beyond imagination of cleanup. And as a lot of you know, Keshe Foundation has set up a decontamination, water decontamination unit, which is at the moment very active. And the requests you are receiving from governments and organizations in the background is alarming. It's alarming. If I open the books, it will create mayhem in some nations in Europe. I would not drink the waters you would drink in a lot of European countries. Even the fruit is contaminated, even the cow is contaminated with the water contamination. We are feeding our children with the highly contaminated cancerous agents.
That's a news article in the last couple of days in Canada here. The idea that the hydro dams, the dams they use to create hydroelectricity, are actually creating a methyl mercury toxic compound in the flooded areas that ends up polluting the rivers underneath the hydroelectric dams. And the local Aboriginals protested about this with the new dam that they just started flooding an area with. And now the news article happens to mention that they suspect, the scientists suspect and know that virtually all of the other hydroelectric dams, especially major projects, have the same issue where it's causing this methyl mercury, very, very toxic. It's, I think, 10 times more toxic than mercury. And it ends up flooding the native fishing grounds and ends up getting mercury into the entire food supply.
We are contaminated. It's the nature of the work we do. It's the way we work, it's the way we operate. It's it's the way man has done about 20-25 years ago. Just actually around 1990s. I was taken by what is one of the what is called now Eastern Bloc, used to be called Eastern Bloc, to a huge lake by one of the what we call top scientists of the nation. I was asked to look at it as a nuclear physicist. They actually dumped nuclear waste from their power stations into the lake. Factories dumped everything into a river which ended up in this lake, and the lake is a cocktail, still there. It's a cocktail of chemicals, radioactive materials and everything else. It's literally a cocktail. And people have no choice, they eat it. They eat the fish from it, if there is anything in there, and they drink the water because that's all they know. But we see a lot of deformities. We see a lot of problems. Water contamination is part of, has been part of Eastern Bloc, or used to be Eastern Bloc, because water purification is only considered if it's needed, and there is no money for it. It's all dumped into the rivers and back into the lakes. It's not something new, but European water contamination is horrendous. And they have no choice, they're hiding it. Government's hiding because it's too expensive to do anything about it.
That's one of the problems in Canada with the northern, especially with the Native American Aboriginal communities. They have very poor water supplies, and the filtration, the systems they have are inadequate, and so on. So I'm wondering in what ways the Keshe technology can be used, of course, to help alleviate that.
What is the problem? What is the problem?
Well, often the water is not of sufficient quality to start with. It could have different bacteria in it, or it could be contaminated with other heavy metals and so on as well.
We are running tests in governmental laboratories about these things. Some of the waters you buy as a bottled water are worse than the water from your tap.
Yes, that could be. They use
Yes,
filters.
I have the data, laboratory data on it.
Yeah, if you think about it, they
When
use
I've
all
seen pictures, it shakes me. Pardon?
I was going to say they use these fancy filters to filter the bottled water, but when you use a filter like that, basically you're holding back all this bacteria in the filter that has the potential to break. The filter could break. There's always holes and things that different viruses or bacteria can get through. It's never a fail-safe situation that way.
These things have been with us, but it's growing bigger. We see more of it, and we see implication and application of this in everyday's life. We see the depth of the change which technology can bring, and we have no choice. We have to be as part of it because it's become part of us. We want the easiness of life, and that easiness trying to satisfy has created huge, huge, huge problem for us ourselves. Go and look, if you can, look at DuPont in America. The penalties they've been served on using production of Teflon. Huge penalties given and pending to be given. but that doesn't cover the number of people they contaminated with the highly cancerous agents, and it's been done for years before it was, they managed to get it into public. It's also any pharmaceutical production, any industrial production has byproducts. It's how they cover it that not known by the public is the problem. If they become open with it and they can find a solution for it, it saves a lot of headache, and secrecy and intimidation has kept that brought in a lot of illnesses. A lot of illnesses. There is a process which we are looking at, and maybe Keshe Foundation research groups which work in the background somewhere, they'll come with it. We are looking at change of the course in mining. At the moment, mining creates a lot of pollution, and the process of what is released and what is collected creates a lot of problem as mining in Africa and other places. Plasmatic mining gives us a huge advantage, where we don't need to dig. We take what we need, not necessarily from the structure of the planet, but through the atmospheric condition. What we got to look at, the long-term plan, is how and when and where the materials are produced on the upper layer or middle layer of the planet. And we can understand the process of the position of the planet in the solar system, which leads to the creation of these materials. As all of us know, our planet is continuously not only receives light as we see it from the solar system, we receive huge amount of materials which in gravitational magnetic field in travel in the depth of the what I call solar system come to be at the strength of a matter on Earth, that when they go through the atmosphere and they come in touch, or due to the gravitational magnetic pull of the planet, when they land or they change the gas and energy condition to on the surface of the planet, they convert to the matter of whatever could be in that position. So let's say if you are going through the solar system on an annual trip, there is a position due to the extraction and a position of the galaxies and other stars and other planets in the solar system and the galaxy. In this region, we'll find gravitational magnetic field of, let's say, copper. And in this region, let's say in autumn, we pass a gravitational magnetic field of zinc. Or there are packages of these energies at that strength level. That in that point, in fact, if the center of the Earth has a gravitational field of gold or the copper, at this point when it reaches here, extracts matter state of the copper in that region of the planet. None of the minerals, none of the elements on this planet are temporarily, and they've been created at the beginning. We continuously add, we absorb millions of tons of solar dust, which becomes layers of this planet every day. If it lands at the strength field, gravitational field of the desert sand, it becomes a desert sand. If lands in Amazon and is the strength of the amino acid of the vegetation which is there, becomes that. Our planet takes from the solar system continuously what it has gravitational magnetic field the strength of. If it's a big bunch of it, full mass, then you'll find it can convert. It's no different. It's the same as what you did with the copper and the orange. You create the gravitational field of the orange in the water, you absorb. The same thing happens with the planet. This planet will never run out of any resources, as long as it's within the orbit which the material is produced. It's impossibility. The hypocrisy of fossil fuel, we all have found out, is nothing but what I call fallacy. Every day, every second, every millisecond, millions and millions gallons of oil is produced on this planet. You produce it on your CO2 system. The interaction of this amino acid, which created on the surface of the plant, on the surface of the matter state, or lands on the, what I call, the salt water of the sea, dictates the animal created there, dictates what goes down and which part of this amino acid becomes what you call oil. Oil can never finish, because every day we produce millions of gallons of it, because the amino acid attraction and interaction created by the interaction of the gravitational magnetic field of the planet and the sun produces it. Can you imagine how many billions of dinosaurs should have died, that the man at the moment extracting 85 million barrels of oil every day, and has been doing it for decades and now decades and decades to come? Because it never finishes. Make your CO2 kit, make your copper oxide kit, and see in that little bottle container how much oil you produced. If you can extract it and put it through the right process, you are what you call the oil man. And if you can repeat it fast enough, we call you sheikh. If the oil companies understand they don't need to drill a hole, they don't need to go and create mayhem they have produced in America now with the native tribes. You can produce oil as much as you like. Just understand the process and give it to them. Then you will understand there is no need for doing what is getting done. The beauty of it is, because they don't understand, a lot of you becoming scientists in this technology, you can tailor make your oil. Put different nano-coated on metals, and you can make a diesel oil. You can make a oil for lubrication. You can make oil for cooking. Now you have full control, because you understand the knowledge. There is no need for drilling, because once you drill it, you have to ship it, you have to refine it, and it's got a problem and everything else with it. If man knew how much oil rains on this planet every day, man would not go with a fool to go dig it out. You take it out before it goes in, that you have to dig it out and cause so much mayhem. We didn't know. We used it to further the intellect of the man. Now we know we can change course. We can't say they were wrong. Without it, we wouldn't be scientifically, economically, and socially where we are now. In this life, in this time, we can never blame. We can build on. Time of blaming is finished. Now we have produced, we know how to produce oil, we know it's a natural process. Why do we go to let it go there and then cook it and then come out? Now you can tailor make the oil you need from the atmosphere. Look, get yourself a breakdown of maize oil. Look and take down the combination of the structure, molecular, atomic structure of the fuel you put in the car. Now you're all scientists. You know that a nano-coated copper wire and a zinc gives you CO2, and it gives you an oil on the top which is connected with the carbon. Look at the other side where you had the need to put a zinc with the iron which gave you CH3. Find out what materials you need to position to create gravitational magnetic field of CH bond and whatever, that it becomes used in your car if you're an oil man or you want to fry your fish. Then you don't need to damage a tree, you don't need to eat an animal, and you don't need to destroy the planet. This transition of the knowledge is going to be a huge problem for man. Huge problem. And this is going to be a task which man has to find out how to overcome it, because you have all the knowledge. Every knowledge is in the hand of the man. It's us who has to take it to the next step, and we have all the knowledge. It's just understanding it to use different application of it, and don't become monkey see, monkey does. Study it, see what is the mixture, and how you need to mix it, how you need to create a protein condition that it gives you the effect you want in the pan or in the engine. This is what I said, we've done all the teaching. Now is understanding how to connect the lines and the dots and the crosses. You want to have a protein that you can enjoy whatever. You don't need to kill an animal anymore. You can create it directly from the atmosphere. You're doing it already, so it's not strange, it's just knowing how to apply it. Any other question?
Mario had a question regarding the urine before, and what about adding iron to get hemoglobin with the urine, or is that not necessary?
Why do you need to make a amino acid of iron with it? The body takes what it needs. You can do, there is no reason why not.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Oh my God. Yes, Madame De Rosa.
Good morning. Could you please, in a little bit more easy way for the other knowledge seekers, explain how they can do this process, that they are not afraid to make mistakes?
Which process?
The process about the urine. Step by step, please. Because for a lot of knowledge seekers which are really into the fields and the doctors, they understand, but for the normal people which work in the kitchen and go step by step very slowly? Can it be explained a little bit more easy how to do it?
First of all, you need to find yourself a toilet. Then you open the door. Then you need to find yourself a cup or a container. You collect your urine there. Then you make sure you put it like in a plastic bag or in the same glass container where you collected it. You can put a copper plate, nano-coated with a zinc plate, and start making your CO2 cans and put the urine on top of the container, not in the water. Make sure, if possible, there is no air contamination because it's a different process. Then, as usual, produce your CO2. In the production of the CO2, because within the urine there are amino acids based, because it comes from the body of the man, you will transfer the energy of the elements which are connected to the amino acid of the man with the gas of CO2 in the plasmatic condition. You don't transfer the urine, you transfer the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field strength of whatever is already connected to the body of the man in the urine, which is the iron, the copper, the zinc, whatever, potassium, calcium, whatever. You need to make a mixture, or at least do this in 2 or 3 different times, because the body of the man does not reject the same materials all the time. So, to be correct, you need to repeat this with the same gas structure with different time or weeks or days, that you collect the totality of what the body has surplus for or has time gone. So this all you need to do. Then you wash the gas material and you transfer the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field strength of the material in the CO2 structure. Don't forget why we use the CO2, because the connection of the information transfer comes through carbon in the amino acid of the man. You can't use the zinc, it has to be a CO2. That's why you use the zinc and complete. And then you wash the GANs, and that GANs, when it's washed, transfers all the energy spectrum which the body has rejected, which means it needed it to be part of it. Make sure you don't do it when you, what do you call it, been taking medication or whatever, because part of that chemicals is transferred into as well. When you have no, what they call the clean body, there are a lot of people, a lot of women, for example, they never take contraception because they don't want to contaminate their bodies. A lot of people don't take medicine, they don't want to contaminate their bodies. When you do this, it has to be a time when the body is in its, what I call, perfection. Any other question?
We do have a question from Leon Zhang. He says,
We have, with the Facebook, I've been told we have a time limit.
yes, 4 hours total, so we have another hour and 15 minutes, I believe, on that. Mr. Zhang says, how to prevent the pollution of GANs by the environment? I guess to store the GANs in a proper way so that the environment, it doesn't absorb its environment and contaminate itself, pollute itself.
I think we just lost Mr. Keshe. Rick, can you post up?
Can I, pardon me?
Can you just post up the 145th picture until
Okay.
it comes back? He might have ran out of battery. Are you there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, I need some juice. Okay, carry on, please. You were asking a question.
Yes. The question was how to prevent the pollution of GANs by the environment.
You cannot. You cannot stop the pollution. You have the interaction of it. But
what would be a better way of storing it? Like, for example, we discussed a little bit earlier about plastic versus a glass container, or maybe there's some other
the
material.
glass container, the glass is one of the best ways.
And what about, should it be darkened glass, like the darker?
That is very, you got to understand,
Is
as the material changes into matter state, it absorbs certain fields.
like is
There
light?
is a way you
is
can
light
do
a
it,
problem?
actually. Pardon? There is
Is
a way
light
you can.
Would light tend to degrade the GANs?
It doesn't degrade, just
I
add
don't think.
energy of it. What is there are different ways you can absorb the GANs of what you need, what the body has. I explained this before, I think in the medical section. You can place your hand, your arm, you can position yourself in a where the organ needs support, near or proximity of the CO2 unit or the cups, the way you transfer the energy of the orange. You transfer that information into the liquid and then you use it. It's the easiest way. There's different way you can apply this in the medical application. Those who have a damaged kidney, you don't need to do the kidney transplant. The whole kidney transplant is to give it good kidney. If your kidney operation matches mine, or we have a match, I can make a GANs of your kidney in a container as a patch, put it on your kidney, and the repair will be done. Why do you need to transplant kidneys? Intrusive operations become the history of the past. And our doctors in the background understand what they need to do. If you have a patient with any organ damage, more or less, if you find a matching organ, or one organ to be good, one is failing, or one part it does, the other part doesn't, you just need to make a GANs of it, and you don't need to kill your patient to get the kidney out to make it. You just allow or make a condition where you transfer the information in that part into a GANs, and then you transfer it back in. Remember the ratio 2 to 1 or 1 to 3, but you have to reverse the position. Where one place you take, the other one you deposit. You'll find out within hours kidney dialysis machines are a waste of time. And if you do it in a dynamic reactor, it's instantaneous. But it has to be big enough to cover exact position. If they let me loose in the world of medicine, there will be no hospitals. where you have a bone or immune system deficiencies. You have to find out where it comes from. Which part, which immune system structure is not functioning. Find a matching one. Cannot be both females, should be the other one. When you find out which one is a faulty one, make a GANS copy of the other one and put it back on the other one, deposit it. Most of you medical doctors know what to do. We've trained you enough to do it. And then you find that there is no need for bone marrow transplant and the rest. They are not finished. We add to the knowledge, is the application of it.
May I ask a question about that? This is Heather.
I hope it's not too technical, please. I don't know.
Okay, or we can wait till the medical teaching. I'm just curious if that GANs of the, for example, the good kidney. Pardon?
Put it through the medical, please.
Okay.
Organize it, Dr. Klaus. I'll tell you how exactly. I already taught that before, but maybe you were not there. It's part of the teaching. We can do it very, very efficiently. There is no need for kidney transplant. I don't see any reason for it. There is no need for heart transplant. There is no need for lung transplant. I don't need any liver transplant. Now with the knowledge we have, doctors can do it, and you see it. Just there's no need for dialysis. A government official asked me very recently, can you give us some scientific paper? I said, go and ask the public that are using it, that are your data. By the way, people in the Keshe Foundation in the background are bringing all the testimonials into one place that it can be reached and we can download it. And very soon, all the languages, testimonials, whatever it be, is in the process of being brought out on the one roof. We tried that before, but now a couple of people are put on it full time. Hopefully, we should be able to see results that all over the internet, whatever has been used, all the testimonials will be brought in. Any other question?
If I could get you to adjust your microphone cable a little bit. That's just a bit of ongoing.
Is this better?
Yes, much better. Thank you. Leon asks in the live stream, is it possible to create an atomic star formation using the fields to control the behavior and bring the GANs from outside into the right position to create a cell of plasma in the GANs?
I'll leave it to you. You sound very knowledgeable in nuclear atomic plasma. If you could think of it, it means it can be done. So you find a solution, please let us know.
Okay, thank you. Well, Raven had answered, from intuition, I would say yes, it's possible. And Leon answers back, I think so too. I need some information. So maybe that was the information he needed to know.
Oh, that he could think of it himself for a solution.
Yes. Candy asks, how would you make GANs of a kidney? Use an animal kidney?
Leave it to the doctors.
Okay. Okay, is there any other questions from people in the chat here? We're
running 2.5, 3 hours now. Please, I repeat again. We are in a position, if we achieve what we are hoping in the next few days, we will announce what do you call, additional workshop. And in that workshop we'll explain in respect to what is to be announced, because it's important. A lot of people have been waiting for it, and then we take the next step in respect to that. It's like a blueprint, but this is a more fundamental and structure in that way that it can affect a lot of people's lives, and we announce it as we have it. You want to call it a day? I think if what we got today understood, a lot of you should be in man of space very quickly. Now I'm going to give you a seed for thoughts and a wisdom. We explained for those of you who understood how to make the gans or kidney or whatever to transfer the information to the one which needs to be adjusted. How, understanding this knowledge, how can we change the emotion of the man, that what I call killing instincts within the structure of the man changes? Can we find a true man of peace to make a gans of his emotion that we can feed the rest? Something very interesting is coming up. We watch and we learn. In the past few hours, we have seen one of the world nations have chosen a leader, and instantaneously part of the nation does not accept what he has elected the others to achieve their dream, as it's not their dream. How can we make peace the dream of every man? How can we make unity the dream of every man to become reality? It can be done in the GANs, but the man has to be ready for it to accept it. Because if it's not within the grain of the soul of the man, it will not fly with the man. As we said, we'll wait and we see. We're not preachers, we are teachers. We teach the science of the universe, and with it goes the ethos of the universe. But man has to learn how to mix the ethos of the planet with the universe, that the man can enter the universal community. Thank you very much for today.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And that ends the 100 and just get the microphone on. That'll end the 145th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 10th, 2016. And thanks to everybody for attending. And I think we'll have some more questions that can be transferred into next time around for people that are waiting if possible. And we'll see you all next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Earth Council, what is your hope?
My wish, I mean, yeah, because I've been to several places and then I've seen so much miseries in the world. My main wish is to eliminate poverty all over the world.
Thank you very much. Now the full 6 members of the Earth Council have spoken their piece. In the coming days, we announce the World Council of the Earth Council position, and in that respect, they have direct access. We open a public direct access to the Earth Council. It's theirs for them to set up the connections with the world leaders, and we make every facility for them. Thank you very much, Alex, Your Excellency, and the rest of the members of the Earth Council. There is a couple of announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much for everything you've done and you're doing.
Thank you.
Few announcements we have to announce that it'll bring a lot of news forward. The Keshe Foundation has secured premises for flight test as part of the governmental organization. We have been given permission to take over the flight building, and with it, in the coming weeks, we establish the first international laboratory where governmental scientists and world scientists within the structure of governmental organization can get together to develop and test all aspects of the technology. This is a very big move. This has come out of the joint cooperation between the Keshe Foundation and governmental organization. And this gives us every possibility of flight testing and developing the flight system within the structure of the world nation governments of the present time. And this gives us a huge opportunity to bring the members of the Keshe Foundation motions together, hopefully in the next few days or next couple of weeks. We announce where we need you to be. And while you are here, the first flight center, the building is there. We have to do a lot of work on it to complete it. It's very much like Cape Canaveral. It has some 18-20 meter roof space height testing, and we have all the facilities we think we going to be needing to do it. It's a huge effort, and with it, in the next 6 months or so, we add a laboratory into it, which means everything can be tested both next to each other. This we see as the next step into development of the space technology, which means the students can be hands-on in testing. The students can be hands-on in developing, and this is crucial for us. And hopefully by next Thursday, we'll give you an insight into it. We are in the process. We are waiting for confirmation. We might, within next 7 days or prior to 7 days, announce the next step in the health program of the Keshe Foundation. This is the possibility that we will come and offer, in conjunction with governmental organization and health authorities, direct health, what we call for cancer. We know a large number of people have been waiting to start the program, and now the whole situation has moved or is moving into its next step and complete the process. We do not cure, we are not healers. It's a process of reorganizing the body for this whatever could be on the health side. If we get the permission to go ahead, we'll announce immediately on emergency what we call rapid workshop, like the way we did with the blueprints or when we do the emergencies, because we know a large number of people are waiting for us to announce where and how. But once this process is completed, it's in conjunction with the government. So it's a joint work between Keshe Foundation and the governmental health organizations, and it becomes a very much official work of the what we call the governmental side of the Keshe Foundation. What we are waiting for is the finalized papers. Whenever we receive it, we go live and we announce that we will accept patients around the world into the, you literally come and receive healthcare through government hospitals. This is how we are setting it up, and hopefully we should be achieving it with 2 nations in the next short time coming. If and we see the opportunity
to pause. Just a second here.
Rick, we lost that share too.
Is there a problem?
No, we're on the live. We started the live stream and just getting the audio going. And thank you for the sound check. Exactly what I needed. Okay. Welcome everyone to the.
Rick, Flint, you're ready to go, and you're going to.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do the broadcast.
Welcome everyone to the 145th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, November 10th, 2016. And once again, we're here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and he's ready to lead today's instructions and teaching in English. And we'll have various people showing their and discussing as we go on through today's show. Okay, let's get into it here. I think Mr. Keshe is ready to go. Raring to go, as they say. Hello, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I thought you were going to play the 2 promotion videos.
Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up on that, yes. Okay, let me do my screen share thing here.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also
to go to the next steps, which is the development of and setting up of a full what we call a space program in conjunction with a number of nations. We'll announce this totally. With at least 3 to 5 nations, we do collaboration in a space flight. The problem is how you put the knowledge together. I've received a lot of warning, a lot of be careful, you are bringing a new technology which no one has knowledge of and can be dangerous in the hand of public. My response to your fear is public is safe. Public have been safe and public are safe in using the technology for its peaceful application. Our biggest fear are governments, that they use the technology trying to control their subjects or other nations. In achieving the flight system, we need to understand a lot of knowledge which has already been shared, but needs to go more in depth. What does it mean? For example, we started last week on a very soft touch, speaking about the production of deuterium and hydrogen and tritium. Even our own emission groups have tried to replicate, and even them see different difficulties in implementing or applying the technology to be able to achieve such a position. I would like to expand on the knowledge in this way, that we need to understand the totality. I need to be able to share a screen, please. We try to explain more and more in the science of technology. What this means, it means that we better understand what we are doing in totality in the structure. Last week we spoke about use of what we call atomic hydrogen. But what was interesting is that when we spoke about atomic hydrogen, even people went to the extent of testing it. They're trying. And interesting enough, for example, what we've seen from different groups is that different people apply the technology in what they see. But it's better to understand the totality. What has happened? We said, for example, you can use aluminum foil. And some people use smaller strips, some people have used bigger strips, and they added this into the 2 cores. And this have caused a meltdown or heating up or not seeing interactions. I said before, test with a cold caustic before you endeavor to test in your cores. We see people who don't see immediate result and they get disappointed, it doesn't work. Always remember, for a star to be created, the seed of the star to be created, or the seed of a galaxy to be created, or the seed of a planet to be created, it takes millions of years. Millions and millions of years for the process to complete, for the process even to magnetic gravitational field of the same strength to come together. It's very much the same as when a child is conceived. Millions of sperms float, target, finding a matching egg, one egg, that they can start a life. It's the same in the universe, and it's the same in the reactors you made. Just because you released one atomic hydrogen from the aluminium, you think that now this process has to start. You have to understand that in that process you have to find a matching plasmas. You have to allow the system to gather strength to process the fields across the core. You plug in and that's it immediately. If it's not, there is something wrong. When you started the use of anything, any of the hydrogen systems, any of the gaseous systems which we used in the past, any of the GANS units, now with the use of liquid plasma, you need time, is more and more need for going into in-depth of the knowledge, in understanding more, in trying to develop and bring more knowledge that it can be used by those who work around the application of the foundation technology. We have passed the point, more or less, of what I call surface and basic teaching. We have gone in more depth in understanding more and more in how the technology needs to be understood and applied for different aspects and translate the knowledge from one to another. One of the first things we got to do today is the second week. We are waiting to see if we can find that the last member of the Earth Council has managed to get himself connected to the internet through Africa. He's in Nigeria. That we can hear from him that the Earth Council is completed, the presentation, that we can set up their work to go ahead. Do you see Alex anywhere in the background?
Yeah, I believe he's here, and I spoke with him last night in the plasma group, and he did say that his system is working better now. So, hi, Alex.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear me?
Hi, Alex. Good morning, Your Excellency. It's nice to have you. Would you like to give us your vision and introduce yourself, as a lot of you know you, all of us know you, most of us, who you are, where you come from, and what you see as a member of the Earth Council as priority with you, as you are actually a field worker. You do a lot of work, you've done a lot, and enlighten us with your knowledge and your insight, please.
Did you want to do video as well, Alex, or just the audio?
Just
I think it's the audio for now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. My name is Alex Ibar. I'm from Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, and then I moved to France when I was about 17 years old. And then I spent a couple of years there before I went to England, and subsequently I met the Keshe Foundation, and then I started working with the foundation. I'm very happy to be a part of the Universal Council, and then I hope I'm going to try to give, I'm going to try to work with the other members of the council to the best of my knowledge, and hopefully we're going to bring all the wish of everyone in the planet, as it is actually peace that we're all looking for, into reality. And then I think I'm going to try to put more effort so that we can start enjoying the technologies that we are developing, like the flight systems and so on, which we're still battling with. So, and then I wish all the other members as well to work to the best of their knowledge, so that we can all hasten up the process of our mission, like our objectives. That is all. Thank you for making me a member of the council as well, and I want to thank Mr. Keshe and Caroline especially for having faith in me since I've been a member of the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. You are a very hand-on person. Can you tell us what's happening in Nigeria now that you see your work goes on with the World Council?
Here I'm just trying to, I work with the public. I don't work with the government. So I'm trying to, I'm setting up a little group that we're going to start spreading knowledge through the Pidgin English, which is the most spoken language in the West African colonies. So I think by November, by the second or third week of November, that should be ready. We already made arrangement for the curriculum to start in Pidgin English. This is going to be really grassroots. I'm not sure most of the international audience will be able to understand what to say, but I mean, if anything, we can translate. It's very close to the English language, but it's what the locals can understand. And then I'm trying to organize the state, because Nigeria is a very big plate. It's about 36 states here. So it's just one part of the southern part of Nigeria that I've been able to deal with. But the other parts of Nigeria, of the country, is still very quiet there in respect to the Keshe knowledge. So all this I'm trying to, I'll be trying to coordinate in the future and see if we can move forward faster.
Thank you very much. What is your wish as a world?
Also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. Develop and apply new methods of food. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address: Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Okay, now I can say welcome everyone to the 145th Knowledge Seekers Workshop at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute for Thursday, November 10th, 2016. And we are ready to go with Mr. Keshe. I believe is really ready to go by now. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Not sure if we have Mr. Keshe here right now. Maybe he dropped off. He did have some trouble with his internet service, so. Anyone else give me some feedback on that? Okay, well, we may have to wait a minute here and wait until it's reconnected.
I see him in the viewers list, Rick.
You had to promote me. Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much. Is it clear?
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Hi, Rick.
Not too bad, yes. It seems to be coming through okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you.
There's a bit of hum in the background, actually, when you're speaking, and maybe if there can be an adjustment on that.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a charger which creates the noise.
Yeah.
Try to keep an eye on it, that it doesn't do what sometimes I have to recharge it. Good morning, good day to you as usual, whenever and wherever you share knowledge with us. Today we have more clarification about teaching. As we teach and we develop different aspects of the technology, we see there